On the evening of our 7th anniversary, my boyfriend bought 99,999 roses and proposed to his white moonlight with the ring I had always dreamed of. His good brothers all liked it, saying that they were a match made in heaven. I also silently posted a comment, wishing them a long life together. My boyfriend called me, his tone impatient. "Don't make a fuss, this is already the 99th thing. After I finish the last thing, I will come back." The video of my boyfriend proposing to Sienna in the middle of a sea of flowers was filmed by countless people and posted online, quickly becoming popular. The comment section was full of praise for their handsome and beautiful appearance, saying that lovers finally got married. I covered my stomach, which was cramping from hunger, and looked at the cold food in front of me, my heart also cooling down. Today was supposed to be the 7th anniversary of my relationship with Zachary. Because of Sienna, our relationship was getting farther and farther apart. I was going to have a good talk with him one last time today. He also agreed, saying that there would be no Sienna today, only the two of us, and he even bought my favorite red wine in the morning. But in the afternoon, he suddenly said that he had something to do and would come back a little later, asking me to wait for him. So I sat at the table and waited for him until 1 o'clock in the morning. I didn't expect that what I waited for was a video of him proposing to someone else affectionately. I chewed the cold steak in my mouth and opened Sienna's Facebook. In the video, Sienna's little face was flushed, standing on tiptoe, tilting her head close to Zachary's ear. "The last thing, I want you to propose to me now and then kiss me." Zachary was stunned for a moment, then without hesitation, he knelt down on one knee to Sienna and took out the ring he had prepared long ago. "Sienna, will you marry me?" I stared at the ring in his hand in a daze. When I found this ring in his trench coat pocket, I thought it was a 7th anniversary surprise he had secretly prepared for me. After all, I still wear the silver ring he gave me when I accompanied him to start his business. I still remember when I first put on this silver ring, he hugged me with red eyes and said, "I'm sorry to have wronged you, Aria. I swear that in the future, I will buy you a ring that is 1,000 times, 10,000 times better than this one." I told him that I wanted one from Dr. I wanted him to belong only to me for the rest of his life. At that time, he agreed without hesitation. It turned out to be for Sienna. No wonder when he saw me holding this ring and saying I liked it, he immediately nervously snatched it away and said that it was for his friend to propose and was temporarily kept with him. In the video, Sienna covered her mouth emotionally, stretched out her slender fingers, and nodded gently. "Zachary, I do." The silver ring on Zachary's hand was taken off at some point, leaving only a shallow ring mark. After putting the ring on Sienna, the two embraced and kissed wetly amid the cheers of his brothers. I picked up my phone and dialed Zachary's number. It was Sienna who answered the phone. But she only said hello, and the phone was taken by Zachary. She grumbled dissatisfiedly in a low voice, "Then I'll go take a shower first." So after they proposed and kissed, they went straight to the hotel room. They really didn't take any detours. Zachary's voice was still very cold. "What's up?" I pursed my lips. It seemed that he didn't know that he had become popular. "Where are you?" "Working overtime at the company." "If you have something to say, say it." He seemed to have walked away a bit, and the sound of the shower in the bathroom was much quieter. My gaze was fixed on the scene of them kissing. "Zachary, let's break up." "Aria, I'm very busy. I don't have time to mess around with you." He paused for a moment, then warned me impatiently. "I'm serious." After saying that, I hung up the phone. I packed my luggage and moved directly to the hotel, sleeping until after 8 in the morning. I opened my phone, and Zachary's text message popped up. "Didn't I tell you I'd be back later? Where did you go to fool around? I've been tired all night, and you still want to make trouble with me like this? Don't tell me it's because of Sienna again." I didn't reply for too long, and he was obviously impatient later. I didn't know if he was too busy to watch videos or if his phone was set to prohibit push notifications. I didn't reply to his message and silently blacklisted him. Actually, I should have done this long ago. Since Sienna appeared with the diary that Zachary had handwritten, saying that he would do 100 little things for her, Zachary almost always responded to her requests. I didn't understand this contrast, so I quarreled and made a fuss. But Zachary said that this was what he had handwritten when Sienna saved him from the sea back then, and it had nothing to do with love, he just wanted to fulfill his promise. At that time, I hadn't realized the seriousness of the matter, and I was reluctant to give up our years of relationship, so I was forced to accept it. I accepted everything from Zachary buying sanitary napkins for Sienna to accompanying Sienna to get drunk late at night or going on a spontaneous trip with Sienna. And I could only swallow all the grievances and sadness alone, watching my boyfriend go through fire and water for another woman. Even if I raised a little doubt, I was said to be narrow-minded, ignorant, jealous, and mean. The ridiculous thing is that I really thought that as long as he repaid Sienna's debt, we could go back to the past. It was not until now that I completely saw how wrong I was. After deciding to give up Zachary, my work efficiency increased a lot. The manager asked me if I wanted to compete for the company's overseas training quota. I was a bit confused. It was not until the manager sent the company's talent training plan to my email that I knew what was going on. After work in the evening, as soon as I walked out of the office building, I saw Zachary standing downstairs with his tall and long legs, attracting many colleagues to stop and look. If it were in the past, I would definitely run over proudly to hug him and declare sovereignty. But now I just pretended not to see him and turned to leave. He chased after me in a few steps, calling my name while chasing. I avoided his hand that was about to grab me and stopped to look at him. All along, I have always liked to do some simple and warm intimate actions with him, such as hugging and kissing. He seemed not to expect that I would avoid him. His hand was suspended in midair, and his face also turned cold. I've been listening to you lately and ignoring Sienna. Why are you angry again? No, there are many people after work, and I'm afraid it will have a bad influence. I looked at him calmly and made up an excuse. After looking at me for a moment, he probably confirmed that I was really not angry, put his hand back in his pocket, and smiled. Are you shy? There was satisfaction in his eyes. He rarely spoke to me in a gentle tone. Yesterday I was busy and confused, and forgot our anniversary. I'll take you to dinner tonight. I wanted to refuse, but more and more colleagues were looking over. It was the time to compete for the overseas quota, and I didn't want to be brushed off because of personal problems, so I had to follow him to the car first. When I walked to the car, he opened the passenger door for me, and I saw at a glance on the passenger makeup mirror that Sienna had pasted Sienna's baby exclusive. There was also a brown curly hair clipped on it. Zachary casually tore off the paper and pulled off the curly hair. Sienna was just playing around. Don't mind it. It's okay. I silently closed the passenger door and walked to the back seat of the car. He looked at my back in astonishment. It was not until I reminded him that he reacted. Sitting in the car, what caught my eye was the black stocking stuffed in the corner. The tip of my nose was filled with the scent of Sienna's favorite rose perfume. I could pretend not to see the stockings, but I have always been allergic to roses. I couldn't help sneezing twice. Zachary also thought of this and quickly opened the car window to ventilate. Through the rearview mirror, I noticed that his eyes were a bit uneasy. He opened his mouth several times but said nothing. Since Sienna came back, this was the first time I calmly observed him carefully. On his wrist, he was still wearing Sienna's favorite light pink hair tie. There were a few inconspicuous lipstick marks on his collar. On the first button of his shirt, a small S was embroidered with pink silk thread. His wallet was casually placed on the passenger seat. If I remembered correctly, as soon as it was opened, I could see a close-up photo of him and Sienna. Not to mention that in the past, he never allowed me to put lipstick, makeup mirrors, small stickers, and other small things in his car. Now, however, Sienna had casually placed them in various corners of the car. These 100 little things of theirs permeated every detail of my life with him, like an invisible net, strangling me so that I couldn't breathe. All along, I had been deliberately avoiding these things. But now, looking at Zachary, who was marinated with Sienna's labels, I suddenly realized that these little things that used to make me unable to eat or sleep, even if they converged into steel needles piercing me now, could no longer make me sad. New air poured into the car, and my nose gradually stopped itching. I rubbed my nose and took the mineral water he handed me, holding it in my hand and unconsciously kneading the bottle. Seeing that my expression was normal, he secretly breathed a sigh of relief. It's good that you can understand. The things I promised Sienna are over. Be good and don't always be suspicious. Is it really over? Thinking of Sienna's Facebook and the unanimous blessings from his brothers, I felt it was meaningless. I perfunctorily replied in a muffled voice. Neither of us spoke again. Just as I was dozing off, suddenly there was a piercing sound of emergency braking in my ear. I was startled awake and looked at him blankly. He had just ended the call, his face embarrassed. Sienna said she has a stomachache. Shall we take her to the hospital first and then go to eat? I looked at the sunset glow outside, and the last trace of doubt in my heart was completely dispelled. He and Sienna would never end. What should end completely is me. I shook my head. No need, you go. I'm a bit tired from work today. Don't think too much, I'm just afraid something will happen to her. I know, after this mountain road, just drop me off at the intersection. I thought what I said was fine, but he suddenly turned his body to look at me, anxious. Sienna is crying in pain, and you still have to be so sarcastic. Even if you are jealous of Sienna, that's a human life. Do you have to wait until she dies to be happy? I looked at him indifferently. I didn't say anything. If you want to go find her, I didn't stop you. Why did you bring up that I want her to die? He was choked by my question and seemed too lazy to talk to me anymore. Either come with me or get out of the car now. What? I blurted out unconsciously. This is a circular road. If I get off now, it will take at least 2 hours to walk to get a taxi. And I'm still wearing high heels. He completely lost his patience, slammed the front door shut, and then roughly pulled me out of the back seat. Reflect on yourself. He drove past me quickly, stirring up a cloud of dust. I stood blankly by the roadside, my eyes uncontrollably red. When I returned to the hotel, the skin on my heels was already torn, and there were 2 blood blisters on the soles of my feet. I picked them open with a needle, and the pain made my nose tingle. After treating the wound, I was eating the egg fried rice I brought back on the way. My mother's call came, asking how Zachary and I were doing lately. While on the phone, my hand unconsciously picked at the takeout box, and tears couldn't help but fall into the rice. Pretty good. That's good, that's good. Do you have enough money? Is Zachary good to you? I have enough money, and he is also very good to me. My throat felt like it was blocked by wet cotton, and I casually found an excuse to end the call. Soon after, my mother transferred 20,000 yuan to me. Arya, keep the money. Your dad and I don't need so much at home. My last bit of strength shattered, and I bit my lip, sobbing. With blurred vision, I returned the money. No need, Mom, have you forgotten? Zachary is a big boss now. He is very good to me and is willing to spend money on me. Actually, the city where I work now is not far from my parents, but in order to take care of Zachary, I haven't accompanied them for a long time. I secretly decided in my heart that after the training matter is settled, I will find time to go back and accompany them. I was lost in thought when Zachary called from another number. Is your foot okay? You should really learn from Sienna and not always be jealous. The first thing he said was to give me a slap and then a candy. This was his way of manipulating me over the years. Every time after punishing me, he would symbolically care about me a few words. I would think that I was ignorant, then beg him to forgive me and thank him for being willing to tolerate me. After a long time without hearing me admit my mistake, he was a bit surprised and called my name. I responded with a Then he continued, Sienna has a severe stomachache. Realizing that my reaction was not right, he rarely explained to me. The doctor said it's a gastric ulcer and she needs an 4. How about I order takeout for you first? I swallowed the egg fried rice in my mouth. No need, I've already eaten. Zachary fell silent, probably really not knowing what to say. After Sienna groaned a few times over there, he said, that's it for now, and hung up the phone. After hanging up the phone, my hand scrolled through Sienna's Facebook. Her latest post was 3 minutes ago, with a video of Zachary gently holding her and massaging her stomach, and the background was Sienna's living room. I stuffed another mouthful of rice into my mouth and silently blacklisted Zachary's number as well. Zachary hasn't bothered me lately, but Sienna often sends me videos of Zachary taking care of her. I gave her the same treatment as Zachary. Then I was busy cramming English and business knowledge every day. The manager said that although it hadn't been finalized yet, based on my past work performance, it was almost certain. I was very happy and felt the long-lost joy and sense of achievement. Gradually, I put Zachary and Sienna behind me. Until Zachary called me using his brother's number, I remembered that today was his birthday. On the phone, he said that Sienna wanted to eat the egg waffles I made and asked me to make some and bring them over. I thought it was time to make some things clear. While perfunctorily agreeing, I asked him to send me the address of the gathering. As soon as I found the private room, Sienna's came from inside. "I've already done what you said. When do you think that woman Arya will step aside on her own?" "Probably soon. She has blacklisted Zachary's phone. Just now, she borrowed Henry's phone to call her." Sienna stopped laughing, her voice becoming lonely, "But maybe the person Zachary really likes now is Arya." "How is that possible?" "We all grew up together, with more than 10 years of friendship." "What is Arya?" "If you hadn't gone abroad to study, maybe now you and Zachary's child would be old enough to buy soy sauce. In my opinion, Arya is really cheap. You and Zachary are so obvious, and she still clings to Zachary. If it really doesn't work, next time take a video of you two in bed and send it to her. I don't believe she can endure it." Zachary and Sienna were childhood sweethearts. His brothers also grew up with them since childhood, so they thought that I had taken Sienna's place and were not very friendly to me. Before, I thought they were all Zachary's brothers. In order not to make it difficult for him, I often made some food and drinks for them, trying to build a good relationship with them. Unfortunately, it was all like putting a hot face on someone's cold butt. The conversation inside the door became more and more unbearable. I pushed open the door of the private room directly. The discussion stopped abruptly. Sienna and everyone else looked at me awkwardly. I looked at them quietly. Suddenly, Zachary's voice came from behind. "Arya, why don't you go in?" I turned around and saw Zachary wearing a black trench coat, holding my favorite red wine in his hand. "I didn't accompany you to drink last time. I brought this specially from home." As he spoke, he looked at my empty hands and asked, "You didn't make egg waffles?" I nodded with a half-smile. "It's okay, you can make it tomorrow." He seemed to be in a good mood, talking to himself, and pulled me into the private room. When Sienna saw Zachary, she came back to her senses. Her eyes lit up, and she naturally took Zachary's arm, looking at me provocatively, as if to say, "So what if you heard it?" She said in a clipped voice, "Brother Zachary, sit here with me. Let's catch up as childhood friends. Sister Arya won't mind, right?" Zachary was pulled by Sienna and looked at me awkwardly. "Go ahead, I'll sit here." After seeing me sit down, he let Sienna pull him to sit opposite me. Almost everyone had arrived. I sat near the door and said indifferently, "Why don't you continue chatting?" Everyone looked at each other and didn't speak again. Instead, Sienna kept serving food to Zachary. Zachary was peeling shrimp for me while talking and laughing with Sienna. Seeing that I didn't use my chopsticks, he frowned. "Arya, why aren't you eating?" "My stomach is uncomfortable, and I feel a bit nauseous." He was stunned. He served me a piece of spare rib again. "Is your stomach problem acting up again? Then eat some spare ribs, and after the party, I'll take you to buy medicine." "No need." Zachary's expression couldn't hold up. Sienna was full of anger. "Are you deliberately finding fault?" "Sienna, don't talk nonsense." Zachary's tone was a bit cold. Sienna's eyes instantly turned red, biting her lip and glaring at me fiercely, but she didn't say anything more. I looked at the two of them in surprise. This was the first time he chose to protect me between Sienna and me. It was my fault just now. I should have sat with you to take care of you. Then I'll pour you some red wine, your favorite, and pick some crab meat for you. Zachary switched seats with Henry. His tone was doting and helpless. It seemed that he thought I was jealous of him and Sienna again. From that meaning, he even wanted me to thank him for complying with me in front of so many people. After he finished speaking, he was about to pour me wine. I removed the red wine glass in front of me. The wine immediately spilled all over the table. No need, it's Sienna who likes to eat crab meat. Peel it for her. Sienna was about to cry. Sister Arya, what are you talking about? Are you misunderstanding me and brother Zachary again? Her tears were about to fall, easily arousing the protective desire of all the men present. Exactly, Arya, what do you mean by this? Since you came in, you've been acting like we all owe you 8 million. If you don't want to come, just say it. Why pretend to be aloof? To be honest, if it weren't for Zachary's sake, you, a low-level employee, what qualifications do you have to eat with us? Seeing that I was being targeted by everyone, Sienna looked at me triumphantly, her fingers gently rubbing the ring on her ring finger. The tense atmosphere made Zachary's face look ugly, but surprisingly, he didn't get angry at me. Instead, he held my hand. Arya, don't make a scene. If there's anything, we'll talk about it when we get home. I shook him off and looked at his so-called brothers with a cold smile. What kind of people are you? Are you the ones who gossip behind people's backs or the ones who teach Sienna how to seduce other people's boyfriends? Zachary couldn't help it and scolded me in a low voice. Arya, you've gone too far. How many times do I have to say that there's really nothing between Sienna and me? How can Sienna face people if you say that? I turned my gaze to Zachary. Zachary, do you take me for a fool? Nothing, and you proposed to her? Using the ring I like. Nothing, and you kissed her? Slept with her? And on our 7th anniversary? My speech unconsciously sped up. Zachary opposite me, his face getting paler and paler. How do you know? After he realized it, he grabbed my arm and said anxiously, listen to me explain, things are not what you think. I shook off his hand. Explain what? It's that damn childhood promise again, right? As for how I know, you have to ask your sister Sienna. Sienna's weak expression froze, and guilt flashed in her eyes. I smiled and scanned the room, then said, just before I came in, weren't you discussing when I would take the initiative to withdraw and let them cook the raw rice into cooked rice? No need to guess, it's now. After saying that, I took out the silver ring that Zachary had given me before and threw it on the table. This ring is worth only 20 yuan, to be honest. I've worn it for 7 years, but Zachary, remember, it's not because I don't deserve better, but because I value our 7 years of relationship. Since you don't cherish it, I won't play this game anymore. In the future, whether you do 100, 1,000, or 10,000 things for Sienna, it has nothing to do with me. For Zachary, I have always been very tolerant in front of him. They probably didn't expect me to suddenly attack, and they looked at each other, no one speaking for a while. Looking at them, I suddenly felt very disgusted. My 7 years of feelings and dedication only earned me their insult of cheap and Zachary's deception. So, Zachary, if you were too busy sleeping with Sienna on the phone before and didn't hear clearly, I now formally inform you that we have broken up, and from now on, we will never contact each other again. After saying that, I turned and left. As soon as I got into the taxi, Zachary's voice came from behind. Arya, come back to me. I had already made it clear enough. If I still couldn't bear to leave, it would really be like what Zachary's brothers said, that I was being cheap. I worked even harder. The manager asked me if I had encountered difficulties in life, working so hard. I shook my head and said that I just wanted to fight for myself. He was very gratified and said that the quota for overseas training had come out. When I saw my name, I couldn't help but shed tears again. But this time it was excitement and happiness. During this period, the manager helped me a lot. After thinking about it, I decided to treat him to dinner. Based on my financial strength, I gritted my teeth and chose a self-service seafood restaurant with an average of 198 yuan per person. The manager's face was a bit strange. I stuffed a piece of mangosteen into my mouth and watched him queue up reservedly for 20 minutes without getting a piece of salmon. I was silent. There had always been rumors in the company that this manager who was parachuted in half a year ago was the crown prince. Could it be true? I still went forward to help him. He looked at the full plate of salmon, his face full of shock. The meal was quite enjoyable. He sent me downstairs to the community. I thanked him, and he asked if I needed to discuss with my boyfriend about going abroad. I shook my head, no need, we broke up. The manager didn't speak, and I waved goodbye to him. After walking a few steps, I saw Zachary not far away, looking at me with a cold face. Who is he? I ignored him and walked towards the community with my head down. He lost his patience and grabbed my wrist. You said you were fulfilling me and Sienna, but in fact, you insisted on breaking up with me just for him, right? He took a deep breath, as if suppressing his emotions, and you've always been very sensible. Why did you suddenly lose your temper last time? Find some time these 2 days to go with me to apologize to Henry and the others. He gripped my wrist so tightly that it hurt, and what he said made me even angrier. Zachary, you know the reason for our breakup better than anyone. As for the rest, don't forget, we are no longer boyfriend and girlfriend. I have no obligation to tell you. You still want me to apologize to your bad friends? Dream on. He was stunned, panic flashed in his eyes, and then he grabbed me tighter, his face darkening. Arya. This is the 3rd time you've said breakup. I've told you that you can't say breakup casually. Even if I said something wrong just now, it was because. Because of what? Jealousy? But Zachary, you no longer have the qualification. I interrupted him. He wanted to say something, but the phone in his pocket rang. It was Sienna's exclusive ringtone. After he hung up, he just opened his mouth. The phone rang again, and he answered it irritably. Sienna's crying came from the receiver. Zachary, my period came, my stomach hurts so much, can you? Sienna, I've already done what I promised you. If your stomach hurts, you can see a doctor. If you need sanitary napkins, you can find a delivery person. Don't call me again in the future. After saying that, he blacklisted her in front of me. Then he looked at me as if asking for credit. Arya, look, I blacklisted her. It has nothing to do with me. I shook off his hand hard and went straight into the community. He kept calling me, saying he wanted to have a good talk with me. I was very busy and had no interest. I told him that if he bothered me again, I would resign and make sure he could never find me. He didn't dare to bother me again. But every day, there would be flowers for me at the front desk. Even the ring on Sienna's hand was taken back by him and sent to me. He said he knew I liked it very much, and I was the one who should wear this ring. He also said that he knew he was wrong, and before, he didn't consider my feelings, making me feel wronged. So he knew I liked it. He also knew that what he did was immoral and would make me feel wronged. I didn't want the ring and directly had the courier return it. He said again that for the rest of his life, he would do 1,000 little things for me. I found it ridiculous. So this is regretting only after leaving, playing the game of chasing his wife to the crematorium with me? Unfortunately, I've waited for him long enough and given him enough chances. I won't turn back again. I told the front desk to refuse anything he sent in the future. Then I took half a month's leave and went back to my hometown to accompany my parents. My parents were so happy that they couldn't find their way. They prepared a full table of dishes, all of which I loved. I mentioned to them that I had broken up with Zachary. My father fell silent. My mother gently hugged me. Back then, my parents said that Zachary was an ambitious person, and our personalities were not suitable. But at that time it was when Zachary and I were in passionate love, and I couldn't listen. This lasted for 7 years. Arya, actually, last time on the phone, Mom noticed that something was wrong with you. If you've thought it through, Mom supports you. My eyes turned red again. As for studying abroad, it would be a year. After staying at home for a few days, I began to hesitate. But my father told me that he and my mother would always be my backing, but they didn't want to be a stumbling block on my way forward. Only then did I completely let go of the big stone in my heart. At home, I enjoyed the meticulous love of my parents. Until a week later, Zachary came after me. Before, I had begged him many times to accompany me home to see my parents, but he always said he was busy with work. This time, he came uninvited. I didn't want to let him in, but my father said that visitors are guests. Some things should be said clearly. Otherwise, it would be oneself who would be dragged down. He and my mother went to buy groceries, leaving only Zachary and me at home. He looked much thinner. He, who was always particular, hadn't shaved the stubble on his chin, and there were dark circles under his eyes. After my father closed the door, he took 2 steps forward to hug me, but was stopped by my disgusted look. He withdrew his hand helplessly and smiled bitterly. "Arya, why didn't you ask me to accompany you when you went home?" I looked at him with a cold smile. "Have you forgotten that we have already broken up?" His eyelashes trembled, and his tone was anxious. "Why do we have to break up?" I really didn't touch her. I admit that after Sienna came back, the diary she took out made me think of many youthful memories. But even if at first I was distracted in our relationship because of her, later I really just wanted to fulfill the promise. I already know that Sienna deliberately made her Facebook visible only to you and sent you videos, but believe me, the proposal was the last thing she asked me to do. The kiss was because there were too many people that day, and I couldn't make her lose face in front of so many people. That day at the hotel, I really didn't touch her. She took a shower, but when I looked at her, I thought of you. I love you, Arya. At that moment, I was very scared. I was afraid that if I touched her, we could never go back. Regarding what happened in the private room that day, I also watched the surveillance. It was Henry and the others who were wrong. I didn't know they would treat you like that behind your back. I promise you, I won't associate with them in the future. I'll just stay with you. Will you come home with me? Didn't we agree that after I fulfill the promise, I would come back to you? How could you not wait for me? As he spoke, his eyes turned red. Before, I also mentioned to him that I didn't want to go see his brothers with him. Every time, he would get angry with me and say that I was overthinking, that his brothers were all good people and couldn't possibly be biased against me. Even if you didn't sleep with her, so what? In my heart, you are already dirty. From the moment you brought Sienna back to our house, it was no longer my home. As for Sienna, you think you have the obligation to fulfill the promise, and of course, I have the right to turn around and leave. I spoke without mercy. His eyelashes trembled even more. I knew how cold my eyes were. I also understood why he could be so gentle to Sienna and so indifferent to me. It was all because he didn't love me enough. If one only knows regret after losing, then for me, it's all too late. He looked at me in disbelief. Probably, he never thought that Arya, who always followed him, would smile brightly and gently call him Zachary whenever he turned around, would one day say such cold words to him. "You're not calm now. Let's talk again when you calm down. I will make you forgive me, I definitely will." He left as if escaping. When my parents came back and saw the cigarettes and alcohol on the floor, they didn't say anything. Half a month passed quickly. I was a bit reluctant, but I still hugged my parents and went back to the company to handle the overseas training matters. During this half-month, Zachary was like me in the past. Every morning, noon, and night, he sent me good morning, good afternoon, good night. He shared every little thing he encountered with me. And I was very cooperative, learning from his past self, replying, "Busy." When I returned to the company and saw the complete training list, I found out that Manager Martin was also on the training list. I was busy handing over work. Zachary stubbornly prepared 3 meals a day for me with his own hands. His hands, which were once with distinct joints, became scarred. Every time he sent something, I shared it with my colleagues to eat. He began to put our photos together in his wallet. The funny thing is that our photos together were all cut by Sienna, and now the photo in his wallet was pieced together from two single photos. He wore my favorite purple hair tie on his wrist. In the car, there was my favorite jasmine fragrance. I couldn't understand his thought process and didn't know what the point of him doing these things was. But I couldn't persuade him, so I could only let him be. Anyway, I was going abroad the day after tomorrow. Today at noon, he didn't come to deliver food. Instead, his brother Henry called me, saying that Zachary drank alone at home last night until he had gastric bleeding, and now he refused to receive treatment, begging me to go see him. On the phone, Henry's voice was urgent. "Sister Aria, it's all our fault. Please go see Zachary, I beg you. If this continues, he will be ruined." I frowned, thought for a while, and still refused. Since I had already made up my mind, I shouldn't have any lingering ties. On the day of going abroad, Manager Martin and I boarded the plane together. We sat in the waiting room, and he looked at me with an unclear expression. "Have you really thought it through? The one who came to deliver food every day during this period is your boyfriend, right?" I shook my head and said rigorously, "It's my ex-boyfriend." He showed a thoughtful expression, and I looked at him curiously. "Then I'll ask you a question too. Are you really the crown prince?" Martin's expression was stunned. "Is it that obvious?" I nodded and was about to speak when there was a commotion in the waiting hall. I looked towards the crowd and saw several trucks suddenly stopping outside the waiting hall. Cart after cart of lilies were unloaded into the waiting hall. Zachary's face was pale, and there were still wounds from the 4 on his hand. He covered his stomach and walked to me with somewhat unsteady steps, his eyes pleading, "Why didn't you tell me you were going abroad? Aria, you can't do this to me." I frowned tightly, looking at his pale face. There was not a trace of heartache in my heart. Behind him was a sea of white flowers. He took out another D-brand diamond ring from his hospital gown pocket. Zachary staggered and knelt in front of me. "Aria, I really know I was wrong. That ring, actually, I know what you meant by sending it to me. I have never forgotten my promise to you, but there was only one ring. At that time I promised Sienna, and I had no choice. I know you won't wear something that someone else has worn. This is a new one I bought, several times more expensive than hers. I beg you, don't go, okay?" I looked indifferently at Zachary kneeling in front of me, with mixed feelings in my heart. "No, Zachary, we are over. Don't do these boring things anymore." "No, Aria, I don't believe it. You love me so much, you won't abandon me. How can these be boring things? I know, you are jealous. I can also do those things for you, and I will do them better." His desperate shaking of his head to keep me was just like when Sienna came back, and I begged him not to leave me. The boarding announcement was already sounding on the broadcast. I wanted to break free from him, but his handsome face was full of embarrassment, tears silently falling, and his expression pleading, making it hard for me to break free. Until his phone rang. It was Sienna. He was holding my arm with one hand and was about to hang up, but Sienna's text message came. She said, "The seawater is so cold, like the night when I saved you." The strength in his hand holding me gradually weakened. I sneered and easily shook him off. Then I followed Martin to the boarding gate. As for Zachary, from now on, he would go to Sienna, and I would go to a new future without him. As soon as I got off the plane, I received a text message from Zachary with only 3 words, "I'm sorry." He said that Sienna had saved his life, and he couldn't watch her die. He said he was sorry to me and knew that I would never forgive him again. He also said that without me these years, he couldn't have held on, and then he transferred $5 million to me. I thought this money was much more useful than his love. His brothers called me a few more times later, saying that Sienna had gone abroad again, sent away by Zachary himself, and she was not allowed to come back. They asked if I could go back and continue my relationship with Zachary. Zachary was still stubbornly doing those 100 little things. He said that he would definitely do what he promised me. I never asked him to do those things, and I couldn't stop him from going crazy, so I simply ignored him. When he had enough of his madness, it would be over. Martin saw me smiling foolishly at the balance on my phone and knocked on the table. You're not thinking of going back to him because of this 5 million, are you? I shook my head. What a joke. Martin looked at me, waiting for my next words. I didn't understand why he was so persistent, but I still continued. In the remaining time, I still have to shine for the company. How can I have time to eat grass again? Martin pursed his lips, obviously not very satisfied with my answer. But I smiled with relief. After all, I really like my current life. Life without Zachary is not as terrible as I imagined, but full of hope. And this is my brand new future.